What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and this I'm going to break down what's going on with SPY, Tesla, the QQQ, and a couple of tickers out there. I'm going to talk about Nvidia and Apple and break down what the technicals are telling us for the pre-market and what levels you should be watching for going into the trading day. This is going to be a pre-market video, so I'm going to talk about what data is coming out very soon and also what the news is saying about the markets. But before I do anything like that, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And don't forget about the Moomoo link. The offer ends very soon. Deposit $100 and you're guaranteed 5 free stocks with a $100 cash reward. The offer ends in just 4 days, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So looking at the market, we are starting to see some tickers just very flat in the pre-market, maybe a little bit on the red side. I'm going to break down some important support and resistance levels. Before I do that, just remember that we have the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index coming out very soon, which is going to give us more insights on the manufacturing side of the economy. This is coming out at about 1 hour after the market opens, so we might see an increase in volatility because of this. That's going to be once again at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. And then after that, there's not much else coming out for the day. And I just want to remind you guys once again that for Wednesday/Thursday, early in the morning or nights, depending on where you are, during two separate times, we have Jerome Powell speaking. So just be prepared for that for Wednesday. And until then, I mean, there is some data coming out for tomorrow, but not much else coming out for today besides the manufacturing data at 10:30 a.m. And the news has been talking about how the futures have been very unchanged to start the final week of trading in June. Now we're getting very close to July, and the market does tend to slow down a bit during the summertime as we hit like the July period. And yes, it is possible for a continuation of these moves, but here's the thing to remember. We have earnings coming out over the next couple of weeks for many, many major tech companies, and that's going to determine how much the market sinks or if the market gets a big bounce. So please be ready for that. And besides that, we are seeing some new things affecting the markets. So looking at SPY, I just want to note that on the 1 hour time frame, I was watching this thing get below both the 200 and the 50 EMA, and then on the 4 hour time frame, it is technically below the 50, which is still pointing the bearish direction. But right now, it's trying to hold about this 432 area as support. If that breaks, I mean, if we do get a break below that, we're going to be watching this thing test 430. This 429 to 430 range could just be touched. If you see it come down, right, really hard, but then it gets a sudden bounce, that could be a liquidity grab. So just be very careful with those fake outs and those traps, and just watch 432 as the major support on SPY. If it starts to push to the upside, right, throughout the trading day, and it's very possible it's going to make an attempt to do so. Watch the next major resistance as it's currently right below 433. There's some resistance at 433.3, which is where our 5 EMA happens to be. Then we have 434 to 434.21 as resistance, 435, 436.25 to 436.64, followed by 438 as the resistance zones to look out for. Now, the most important level, though, out of all of those that I just named, is going to be closer to about, as of right now, around 434.21, because that's where our 50 EMA is going to be on the 4 hour time frame. It's going to act as resistance if this thing tries to break above it. For this thing to get more potential to try to like balance, it needs to hold above 434.21 or above the 50 EMA. I want to see it do that for the bulls. If not, it's going to likely continue to chop, if not break down. The 4 hour time frame is looking more bearish, so the odds are still favoring the bears a bit more. But like I said before, I always like to be prepared and to watch both support and resistance just to be safe in an unbiased manner. But right now, that 432 support is going to be important. Break that, and this thing could have quite a bit of downsides. Just be very careful, guys. I just want to warn you about that. Now, as for Tesla, this is once again just a little bit down in the pre-market. However, there is more potential for Tesla to drop because now Goldman Sachs just came out and they downgraded Tesla to just a hold instead of a buy. So, all these different like banks out there, these different analysts are just turning bearish on Tesla. Some of them were, other ones were saying that Tesla is now a hold. They're not saying to buy Tesla. Some are saying to sell and secure profits on Tesla. So we're getting a bunch of different perspectives which have been slowing Tesla down, and it's continuing on this trend as the news cycle is turning more negative. On the 4 hour time frame, it's above the 50 EMA. If that breaks on Tesla, it has more potential for downside. It's currently at about 252. If it breaks below that, watch 250, then 247 is going to be where the neckline is of this head and shoulders formation. If 247 breaks, Tesla's going to likely see a lot more downside. and come all the way down to 235. But I do want to warn you guys that we did get another downgrade from Goldman Sachs, so the odds are favoring downside. It looks more bearish from a technical standpoint. There's this head and shoulders that is valid technically. But if it wants to turn bullish, I mean, it's got to make its way up above like that 255 zone, very mid, like 250s. And then it has the potential to make it up to like that retest of 257.5 and 260. And to turn bullish, it has to break above 265 plus and just start pushing. But so far, I mean, it hasn't been able to do that. And the news is more negative. So the odds are favoring this thing, maybe chopping around and then starting to come down to like this 247, if not breaking below it. It still looks more bearish to me. That's just based off technicals and what the news is saying. I can't control that, but it is what it is, guys, right? We just have to be unbiased. News trying to bounce a little bit, but like I said before, it looks more bearish. I have that target all the way down to the sevens based off this current trend. So 7.8 could be tested on Neo, still looks weaker. We're going to be watching the 200 EMA support just to be safe. For the QQQ, the triple Q is very flat right now at 362.5. If it wants to turn bullish, well, first off, you're going to be watching resistance around this 363 area, right? That's a very important level to look out for. If that breaks, watch 364.69, 366, 368, and 370. But if this thing gets a break below 362.5 and starts like trending down, the next really important level, I mean, there's some support at like 361.37, but the most important one is going to be 360 flat. If 360 flats, excuse me, if 360 flat breaks, right, this thing is going to have more downside and likely make its way, in my opinion, to the mid 350s around 354 to 355, which is where we have a gap. I think it's going to be attracted way down there if we get a clean break below 360. But the thing is, there could also be those false breaks. So I'm saying a clean break. There's a big difference. Sometimes you're gonna have like this break where it's like kind of looks like this candle here, where it like breaks down and comes right back up for liquidity grabs and things like that. Sometimes that can happen if we have like order blocks nearby. But so if you want to turn like more bearish on it and see this thing break down, you need a strong break. You need candles that look like this, right? Very strong, bigger signs of weakness, right? You need it to hold below it, and you need to watch for confirmation. Just be careful with lots of trickery. Uh, I can't say much about SPX just yet. I mean, I already talked about how this was looking a little more bearish as of right now, but then 4,300 is going to be a big level. So we're just going to watch that carefully. Where our 50 EMAs on the 4-hour time frame. Besides that, Coinbase is a little bit down. If it wants to turn more bullish, it has to break and hold 62, which is possible. And then if it breaks that 64, then potentially the 66 area could come for the next imbalance. If it breaks below 60, however, it has potential to come all the way back down to 57.68, closer to where this imbalance is as well. So kind of in the middle with Coinbase. We will see if this thing could try to break above 62 and at least hold above 60. I'd be very patient and careful with it for now. It is starting to show a little bit of weakness in the pre-market, but it's nothing too major. And I think it's going to be more reactive to news because we're still waiting for some big news. Apple's kind of in the middle, trying to push up and hold. But like I said before, Apple is still kind of stuck around this like 186 zone. If it manages to break to the upside, it has some major resistance at 187.5 to potentially 188 and has been getting stuck in these levels, but that's not a guarantee of anything else. The 4-hour time frame on Apple's looking a little like pretty decent. It's like trading sideways, trying to push up a bit. So we're just going to watch it. I think it's going to be very tight in these levels. May not dictate the market as much. And if it does start rejecting and coming down, you're going to be watching support at 185, 186 basically. Both of those are support zones. Then we have 184.17 to potentially 182.67 to 182.5. Just watch all of these levels for the time being. It looks very sideways, so there's not much of a direction just yet. Nvidia, this thing is still on a downtrend. There's a possible head and shoulders formation that has developed. You're going to be watching if it holds above this 417 support at the 50 EMA. If it breaks below that, then it has potential to come all the way down to like the 414s, 410, and etc. If it tries to hold above this, it could try to get a balance in the back just of like 430. That is a possibility. If it does like break above 425 and hold it, we could see it try to go for this gap fill at 430, which was from the pre-market. And then after 430 comes 433 to 435, then comes 440 after that. I'm going to be careful with this. As of right now, at the time I'm recording this, right now it is looking more bearish, but that could change depending on news and how it opens. But just for reference, watch the 50 EMA on the 4-hour time frame at this 418 area. If Nvidia breaks that, it has more potential to come all the way down, in my opinion, all the way down to the 410s, if not lower. But I'm going to be just watching for confirmation and just be patient with this. Last but not least, for Meta, Meta is once again at the 290 resistance, this zone like right over here. So it has this like resistance area. Hold on, let me fix this. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. Uh, it has this resistance zone like right here. I'm trying to find my rectangle. Right about here, you're gonna be watching this like 290 area. If it manages to break this, this would be a bullish signal for me. For the time being, we're just going to watch it carefully. Now, looking at the order flow of Meta, I looked at it in the morning. This is looking a lot more bullish again. We're continuing to see lots of buyers stepping in as we got this break out of this like wedge. See, it had like a false break to the downside and came right back up above it, backed us in a push up. If anything, if it holds above 290, I see this thing potentially flying to almost 300 or getting very close to 300 very soon. If it holds above 290 as the resistance, if it rejects off 290, watch support at 287.5, then we have 285.26, and then after that comes 282.5, then we have 280, then 278. But like I said, the trend is still looking strong. Even if it does like cool off a little bit, it could try to keep going. I think there's a good chance it's going to try to break above 290. This trend looks very, very nice. And what I'm thinking is maybe it slows down a little bit, but eventually it may try to make an attempt to break 290 very soon. Looks strong from a technical standpoint, but I'd rather just be a little patient and see how it reacts to 290. If it gets above it, that's going to be another bullish signal for Meta. If it ends up getting rejected, then just be careful with it. So that's the important zone we're watching for. It is getting stopped so far off 290, but this could change once the market opens as volume increases. Anyways, that's what I have for this video. Thank you all so much for listening. Watch support and resistance. I'll see you guys very soon. The market to the moon as the long term is still incredibly bright, and peace out.